So this weekend, this is depressing. I described it earlier today on radio as my heart if it had this anatomy. It's like somebody kicked my heart in the beans. I don't know how else to describe it. America lost one of its most revered conservatives, Supreme Court Justice Antonin Scalia.
What happens is that any case that it wasn't really a final decision and opinion that Justice Scalia had signed off on, his vote doesn't count. So it's possible there's one in the works that we just don't know. Maybe someone's working on a dissent still, and it could come out. But practically speaking, I think we have to assume his vote is lost on any case that has not been issued by the court already.
So you have 4 progressives, somebody who's kind of in the middle, and 3 conservatives now with Scalia's absence. And one of the court cases that could be winding its way towards SCOTUS is that of quote-unquote assault weapons. This is terminology and of course always lawfare brought up by individuals who have no idea about firearms capability. They don't know what select fire means. They don't know the difference between full auto and semi-auto, and they've never heard the magical phrase, the giggle switch.
The worst attack ever in this country, it was during his presidency.
That is Donald Trump doubling down on his original claim Saturday night that the Bush administration was responsible for 9/11. Let's not sugarcoat this, right? Why the focus on Iraq? Why the hell are we relitigating Iraq when we have Syria taking place right now, when we have Russia trying to become this huge geopolitical force where it concerns Ukraine, where we have the refugee crisis taking place? What are South Carolina voters looking for? I understand that the electorate is similar to that of Iowa. There's a good portion of the electorate. These are evangelical Christians. These are conservative constitutionalists. What are they looking for in a candidate?
Well, first of all, they've gotten it right more than any other state, with the exception of only one time whoever has won South Carolina has gone on to win the Republican nomination. I would say that right now, because of what we're dealing with radical Islam and all that electing someone who can be commander-in-chief on day one to keep the country safe, I believe is the dominant issue, though, right now in South Carolina.
One of the things that Marco Rubio had said to you, and you wrote about this, the Gang of Eight, quote, was that was the best we could do as a starting point with Reid running the Senate. And he went on to say that it was never meant to become law. And you're calling shenanigans on that.
Yeah, I got to call horse Pucky on that, Dana. And I like Marco Rubio, other than I vehemently disagree with him on immigration. I kind of feel like he's this cycle's Ron Paul. I like everything he says with foreign policy. It's like with Rubio, I like everything he says with immigration. But on this one, this is dissembling at its worst.
But while Trump enjoys his current popularity, more and more Republicans are calling into question his conservative bona fides. Let me put it into some simple terms. I do not believe that Trump is a conservative. Now, as I said, he's donated to both Republicans and Democrats, and as NPR discovered, until just very recently, he's actually donated more to Democrats than he has Republicans. Donald Trump claims that because Ted Cruz took out a loan against his own assets during his fight with David Dewhurst in Texas and paid that back, he's owned by Goldman Sachs. So using that standard of measurement, what does that mean for Donald Trump?
Well, quite simply, it means that he's owned by basically every bank on Wall Street. So we do know that Donald Trump is a shareholder in Goldman Sachs. In fact, a relatively large one. And so to me, that's a more compelling point by his own standard, because what that means is essentially is that Donald Trump has a direct interest in the financial success of Goldman Sachs.
I mean, we could even get into how he's not self-funded. He's only contributed $2 million of his own money, and the rest of the millions have come from other people. And quite frankly, it worries me. I'm concerned greatly because I feel that I'm looking at a candidate that would when he talks about making deals, realize that deal is just another word for compromise. And we have compromised so much already. I do not want to compromise away liberty. I do not want to go along just for the sake of getting along.